Oh yes, welcome back to Overclock Showcase, series where I show you overclocks in two forms that I can come up with. The two most usable builds that I can conceive within a week, the allotted week between one episode and the next. We are finally onto the secondary weapons for the first time in this series' existence. And that means we're starting with the Bulldog revolver, Gunner's first secondary weapon. A weapon that I have a fair amount of favour for. I've always liked the Bulldog, and I like a lot of its builds. I especially like, volatile bullets is hard to get over, but I like elephant rounds and homebrew powder and magic bullets is a great thing. However, upon second look, or more than just a second look, you start to realise the Bulldog definitely has some problems. In fact, I think that both the Bulldog and the Burt are both weapons with some pretty present issues. And with the Bulldog, that actually lies in quite a specific avenue, which are its two damage mods. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as the video goes on. But for now, I guess it's time to introduce today's subject, which is chain hit. The Bulldog's only clean overclock, chain hit. Weak spot hits ricochet into a nearby enemy. So how this works exactly is when you hit a weak point, an enemy weak point with this weapon, the bullet will have a 75% chance to ricochet into an enemy within 5 meters. And that sounds fine. And it is fine because it's a clean. And the Bulldog, I would say, isn't insanely reliant upon its overclocks. It is to become more than what it is. And what the Bulldog is at base is a fairly reliable, low HP killer, like single target killer. So things like web spitters, acid spitters, tri-jaws, maybe even spitballers, things like that are what it's very good against, and that is retained with chain hit. I will give chain hit that credit. However, I would argue that all of the overclocks elevate the weapon beyond its base functionality in some way, aside from chain hit. This is suffice to say that chain hit is probably the worst overclock that the Bulldog has, and therefore I was not particularly enthusiastic about this video. I would say this is easily the worst overclock we've had to cover so far, and certainly my least favourite. I'm just going to tell you that up front. This is not going to be the most exciting video. It's not going to be the most exciting overclock showcase for sure. However, I've made the commitment to cover these overclocks, even if they're ones that I think are boring or bad. And therefore, the goal becomes to try and extract some value from them. So I didn't really take a particularly nuanced approach with trying to make two really distinct builds. What I did try and do though is at least differentiate them somewhat in terms of their purpose. And this one is very much so that HVT thing I mentioned earlier. So this is a weapon that we're going to be using against weak priority targets. All the things I mentioned. Web spitters, acid spitters, tri-jaws, I guess spreaders as well, septic spreaders. Anything that also has prominent weak points, wardens as well. And hopefully catching extra enemies in the crossfire or in the ricochet. And the way we achieve that is by taking a little bit of damage, because here's the thing about the damage mods. Taking both of them is a really bad idea. They only offer 10 damage each, but the ammo mod offers 12 bullets, which is a lot more total damage. So on the whole, the damage mods are actually bad, but you can get away with using one of them because you don't have a, miserable amount of ammo. As such, we're also taking hollow point bullets to improve our weak point damage accuracy in tier 1 as well. But tier 5, look, neurotoxin coating, there's no reason not to use this. I personally believe neurotoxin coating trumps Deadeye in all situations anyway, but there is the addition here of the fact that we, more often than not, have the chance of hitting more than one enemy, therefore the chance of poisoning more than one enemy with every shot. So neurotoxin inherently gets a bit of a boost. However, we're not taking chain hit here to clear out groups of enemies, okay? We're taking it to just basically be base Bulldog, unupgraded Bulldog, with this occasional bonus. And so, especially now that I'm focusing on the secondaries, I have complete free reign to use whatever primary weapon overclocks I want. So I decided to go down the route of something that is extremely reliable against all types of enemies. So mortar rounds immediately came to mind. I'm sort of getting the licks in immediately. As soon as I had the chance to use some of the new overclocks again, I was on it like that. You know, it's crazy. So yeah, we're taking mortar rounds built for how mortar rounds should be built. Good amount of ammo, good amount of damage, crowd control, and tier 5 with the fear. It's a perfect accompaniment to a not particularly specialized secondary. And that's kind of the core of it. There's not much more to say about this build specifically. It's a very generalist build that sort of makes the best use of an overclock that doesn't really specialize in anything. You might notice the mission. Not a particularly common one on Overclock Showcase, but I think there's a reason to go for Industrial Sabotage. And there's some things that I know work, some things that I don't know if they work or not, like Caretaker Vents. I don't know if they count as weak points. We'll see. If they do, then there is a genuine use case for chain hit on Industrial Sabotage. I definitely found that to be the case for the turrets. I have done a little bit while I was able to at least fight some turrets. And I assume patrol bots, it will work as well. Obviously, it will work on patrol bots as long as you hit the weak point, but I'm hoping it will be noticeably effective. The other thing is definitely robotic appendages. In fact, so much so, I'm going to check to see if that works. Okay, information has been gathered. So, the Caretaker's Eye is a weak point. And that will be potentially used if there's like a patrol bot nearby. Maybe it could ricochet into a nearby appendage. The appendages themselves, the wiki claims that the appendage's heads are fake weak points. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means they take weak point damage but don't act like weak points, which would mean that chain hits functionality is dissolved. I would assume that also means any weak point bonuses from weapons don't apply either. The only thing that you gain is the fact that your weapons do more damage to the head than they do to like the body of a grunt, for example. I assume I'm on the right lines. I have to assume because I don't really know. Anyway, let's talk chain hit a little bit. I mean, I've kind of already said my piece a little bit about how I just don't like it, and that's true. I find myself not liking overclocks that don't really add anything. And I know it sounds like trivial. It's like, well, of course you don't. Of course you don't like overclocks that don't add anything. And I say, well, got to consider the fact that it's a clean, and that it's technically inoffensive. It's technically nothing but an upgrade, but you know, as time has gone on, I've started to develop the position that the Bulldog is, you know, not the strongest weapon. And therefore, an overclock that doesn't really bring anything to the table is not a particularly attractive prospect to me. In fact, I'd say it's the opposite. But when looking at all the other options, I just feel nothing towards chain hit. I think it's inherently failing on a lot of design levels too, because it's like, first of all, I have to call Ghost Ship out a little bit because it represents one of a pretty recurring oversight, which is that the information given is either not accurate or not whole. The information given in the equipment terminal. Chain hit simply claims to cause ricochets on weak point hits. Of course, not only does it leave out the radius in which this has to occur, also try jaw. Oh, nice. Okay, that was good. It doesn't usually go that well. But not only does the information leave out the radius in which the chain hits need to have to an enemy to occur, it also leaves out the fact that it's chance-based, which is kind of important, I'd say. And I would go as far to say it's kind of just misinforming you by not telling you that there's a chance involved in it, which is why I think that chain hit could easily be changed, and it would still be a clean. First of all, at least make the text accurate, and that would apply to either one of the changes I'm about to suggest as well. So what I would do to chain hit is either make it simply just apply to any enemy hit, basically, so a body shot would count, or make it so that it's a 100% chance on weak point hit. Not necessarily combine the two, although you could if you were to rework it into a balance where it's like, oh, 50% on body shots, 100% on weak point hits or something. And maybe weak point hits ricochet twice as well. That would actually be a substantial and interesting rework. And then that could involve some kind of penalty like reload speed, something. That would make perfect sense to me. But unfortunately, we exist in the timeline where chain hit is kind of just left as this very unremarkable, and honestly, frankly, quite unintuitive clean. It's quite frustrating because I think there's potential in literally every overclock, and it's one that just doesn't feel its potential, you know. So I'm not. Yeah, the turret over here is not close enough. But as far as these turrets go, it really is the burst ones because they have the easiest hit weak point. So hopefully we'll actually get a chain hit, which he didn't get any chains. So that's not very nice. With this one, I'm just going to mortar rounds it. As you can see, it still does okay damage to these enemies when we get a weak point hit. It's respectable. It's not great. It's something that would be enhanced by literally almost every other way of using the Bulldog. Exceptions, of course, are magic bullets and volatile bullets, where one is like for crowd clearing, the other one is reliant on fire, and obviously if you set a turret on fire, it's dead. So there is that. Right, Wardens. Now this is where my complete lack of ability to hit anything really comes into play, because Wardens are actually a very good target for chain hit, but unfortunately I just cannot hit that weak point with the dog. Especially when the Warden hides in a wall. I can't really blame myself for this. Right. Right, it's probably the best I'm going to do. Luckily I have mortar rounds to make up for just about everything about this. Yeah.
I think we're actually doing alright so far.
Anyway. Let's carry on. Right, it might be high time to... Well, actually, we should talk a little bit about what we saw. So especially with that very first encounter with the Trijaw, you saw chain hit basically at its best, where it was actually able to ricochet into another enemy's weak point. That barely ever happens, though. It really, really barely ever happens. I can't record it happening before, actually. That might be the first time it's happened for me, so that was very good luck, I suppose. But it's still something to keep in mind. And that was also the right kind of enemies to use it on. So, Trijaws and Wardens, basically things with juicy weak points, are prime targets. Unfortunately, with the Warden, it's not like the chained shot is going to end up doing anything effective, because it's going to be ricocheting into buffed enemies, So it's not actually that... It's not a synergy, really. It's just the fact that the Bulldog is a precision weapon, therefore enemy with juicy weak point should get shot by it. It's quite simple, but it's not really actually... There's no actual real benefit from chain hit, aside from just the chain itself, but it's kind of hampered by whatever it ricochets into is probably being buffed by the Warden. Yeah. Oh, okay, those exploders did more damage than I thought they would. Okay. Right, now the thing with spreaders too, this is where my poor accuracy comes into play, but I suppose what we have... So first of all, I wasn't supposed to hit that weak point, but we do have a very reliable fear-inducing weapon here, in the form of our Thunderhead. I don't know why Mission Control's only just started talking about the Caretaker. But yeah, I mean, keeping that in mind, obviously whenever you're using a weak point weapon, positioning yourself or disrupting and fearing enemies to open their weak points up or expose their weak points to you is common practice, but with chain hit, the benefit we gain from weak points is extremely endemic, and it just detrimental to chain hit doing anything remarkable, or even close to remarkable, if you could even call it that. So making sure we are actually hitting weak points is probably more important than ever, which is why having a reliable, ammo-efficient primary with a strong crowd control component is actually very valuable. I hope that is plain to see. Anyway, I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to really cut, because these missions tend to be so sort of frenetic, and there's typically always something to kill. I guess right now it's not really chain hit's time to shine, I suppose, but it can be. It can be. Oh, this is, though. Hold on, I'm actually going to shield, only because I cannot be bothered to deal with the sniper turret. Ah, you see that little sliver that the first turret was on when we started shooting this one, that was a result of 2 chain hits hitting it, and it was like, just a minuscule amount of damage. So You see what I mean? About it's just not really that impressive. And like, there is something to be said about why I didn't consider using explosive rounds. And that's because I feel like by using explosive rounds, I would be promoting something that is so easily surpassed. At least by going down the lane of weak points and blow through. I'm suggesting something that isn't really, you know, that's not how anyone would build magic bullets, you know. I guess it's my strange sort of argument for that. Wow. See that? Incredible accuracy. But magic bullets so easily takes the spot of the only overclock that should really be used for explosive rounds that I kind of just didn't see the point. It felt like it would just fall on deaf ears to really use that upgrade. Anyway, we're kind of in that position where and I don't think this is going to be the case for a lot of the secondary videos, but we are in a position where probably going to be a bit more Thunderhead gameplay than Bulldog gameplay. So don't be surprised if I cut a fair amount of combat out, because this is not... It's kind of why chain hit annoys me, because it's one where the weapon just cannot take the spotlight, you know. There are plenty of secondary weapon overclocks where it's going to be the spotlight, like truly. They're, you know, used almost, or if not the majority of the time. Chain hit is not one of them, unfortunately. Like magic bullets would be, for example. I'm sure you can imagine why if you're familiar with magic bullets. That'll be used very frequently. But chain hit could be much more sort of conservative with how much I use it. For fear of running out of ammo, but also just because it's just not the best thing to use in most situations. It's a terrible shame, really. Let's see about this. Okay, it's just one repulsor turret. Or maybe a couple turrets up there. Not that that's going to show you anything unique. Alright, I'm going to probably get around to first hacking station, I suppose, or first power station. Although when a gaggle of Praetorians comes my way... Okay, that wasn't terrible. Damage that ended up getting dealt to the second Praetorian was actually not abysmal. Well, okay, I didn't get any chain hits there. Just because I got a whole magazine's worth of chain hits. It made up for it by not giving me any. Shit. Yeah, Predators is something that we're not going to be super strong against. I'm accept with that. Let's give it a go. Yeah, it's not great. That's what I mean. It's just like, that's just not significant damage. Oh yeah, I forgot my other proposed idea, which was basically to make it make the ricochet hits inherently deal weak point damage, or at least take the Bulldog's own weak point multiplier. I think that's actually a way forward as well. I still think that should be accompanied with other buffs that possibly move it up a category. So definitely either a 100% chance or well, yeah, that would be combined with the 100% and weak point chance, and it would like. One of my ideas also would have been like successively decreasing chances. So it's 100% ricochet chance on a weak point hit, but then it could actually potentially ricochet more times. So the next chance off of the second enemy, you know, off of the first enemy hit by the ricochet, it would have a 75% chance to ricochet again, and then a 50% chance, then a 25% chance, and then it's done. Something like that. Be really cool. Unfortunately, the thing we have about sniper turrets is that they don't have weak points, so they're kind of not really part of the showcase, unfortunately. Well, how much damage does this do to them? Barely anything! Because the Bulldog's bad when you don't hit weak points. Unless using magic bullets, of course. Anyway, let's get this hacking station. Oh, well, you see, the thing about this lot... Hold on. I didn't even hit weak point. Not like we're going to be using the Bulldog against these guys, is it? Let's be honest. Maybe against the spreader, but I don't have any ammo now. Which tells you something. Our base ammo, Bulldog's base ammo is not particularly great. for base Bulldog. Yes. If anything, chain hit would be better off as an upgrade somewhere, like tier 5 maybe. That could actually be kind of interesting. Anyway, we're gonna set this hacking station up, get a resupply, so I actually have Bulldog ammo. I'll see you then. Okay, so a patrol bot showed up somewhere before I'd actually gotten the resupply, but I actually managed to just avoid it until now. Well, even now, it's not actually here. There it is. Bosco, you're not going to attack this thing. Obviously, we're not going to be getting any chain hit here, but we're at least going to see Bulldog in a very standard scenario. Base Bulldog, basically, working its magic. Obviously, this relies on my accuracy, and I'm being very, very cautious. I don't want to miss any shots, which means we're not going to be killing this really quickly. Okay. So not that this thing's doing a particularly good job at killing me. Oh, okay. I'm surprised I hit that actually. So I would say that is 3 shots, really, which isn't bad. Not bad. Definitely, Trollbot's absolutely a worthy target for like chain hit. In like a swarm scenario, that's something you probably want to try and hit because it's actually respectable damage on the actual direct hits as well. So they're probably a perfect target, really. Unlike a warden, and I've explained why. I feel like coming. Actually, no, hold on. Because we're in the game of actually trying to get some use out of this overclock. So I kind of got to do things like have a trident actually be used essentially as a fulcrum point for chain hit shots, which sounds kind of insane, but like literally necessary, I'd say. Oh, she's got one there as well against the spreader. Although it feels like spreaders can't be feared from this, like literally from what I'm observing from doing this, but I don't think that's true. I'm pretty sure they can be. But so far the Thunderhead has failed to fear a spreader. I almost said shredder instead of spreader. Oh, my mouth is so dry. And I don't know why. Anyway, hopefully this will be... Obviously, we're going to have to use other weapons a bit more. And... Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine. Pouring, good old pouring.
We got bogeys on the hacking drone.
Mm-hmm. Actually, this is good.
The hacking is stopped. Get on it, team.
You bitch.
I'm doing my part.
Who can play at the Mortar game?
Get ready. Hackbot, get your arse back to work.
Sorry about that. What's going on? My ear's itching. Robot? Patrol bot. Two patrol bots.
Keep the hacking drone secure.
Okay. Sure. Why not?
Get those bastards off the hacking drone. Now, damn it.
Probably, actually, I mean, I probably could have avoided that, really.
It's preparation time. I'm not scared of you. I was born ready.
I do wonder if I should have been trying to point out there is a visual effect that indicates when chain hit has occurred. Obviously, it's hard to demonstrate because I don't want to just shoot randomly to demonstrate what a non-chain hit shot looks like. But it's basically sort of like a whitish like spark that comes out of the enemy when chain hit occurs. I want to say it's like the only good thing about the overclock. Yeah. Okay. We got through that fairly well, and I don't think chain hit was a hindrance. So we did some okay stuff when there was Trijaws to hit, or Praetorians, or Patrol Bots. So the thing is, though, I can say all that, but in the end, it just boils down to the fact that I'm just not going to pick it over anything else. Like, just because it was inoffensive or wasn't a detriment does not mean it's fulfilling any kind of useful niche. Because it's not. It's really just not. And I mean, I'm sorry that it's like going to be, you know, probably going to round out to be a fairly negative video, but it's an overclock that I don't like and I think needs work. So I'm not going to be coy about that and be like, oh, it's actually really good if you use it this way. Not really. It kind of isn't. Kind of just isn't that good. It being a clean aside, we have to consider cleans from the perspective of a clean. And a clean can be bad among other cleans, basically. I mean, look, we go over to ultramagnetic coils on the coil gun. It's one of the strongest overclocks in the game, let alone one of the strongest cleans. So what's that all about? Okay. So how damning is it when it doesn't actually proc? I mean, we've got one there, and it actually procced the 2 instances of neurotoxin, so that's good. That's definitely something we want to see. But against the first Trijaw, it didn't. I mean, it not ricocheting is just so punishing because it's just like, it's not like it's doing anything else, you know. The only one that is the only other overclock that's contingent on conditions is volatile bullets, but it's a condition that you can manually inflict. You know, you don't have to leave it up to chance. Obviously, there's the unfortunate reality that some enemies can't be set on fire, but that's not chance-based. That's just the facts of the game. This is a chance-based contingency, meaning that it's just very punishing when it doesn't actually end up doing anything. And I think that at least should be remedied. And this goes for both chain hits, by the way. This goes for Bulldog and the Sabata. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think those are the weapons that should have got I think chain hit, I mean, I guess it's kind of obvious, and maybe it's why he didn't do it. It'd be far more useful on a weapon with a high rate of fire. I think chain hit on the GK2, or hell, the minigun, would actually be really fun and good. Like, even as it is, even with it being chance based. I'm just not even sure they chose the right weapons for this overclock, to be honest. And so next week is going to be Sabata, by the way. And I'm just thinking about what I'm going to do if I get chain hit, because I will do it. I have enough of a sense of humor to, where if I get given, if the Wheel of Fortune gives me chain hit next week, I'm not going to turn it down because I just find that kind of weird, like, cruelty of fate kind of funny. When it comes to trivial examples of the cruelty of fate, right? I'm not talking about people who, like, you know, have everything in their life stripped away from them by sheer bad luck. I'm talking about stuff like this, where it's like trivial. I find it fun. I'm not going to be put out by. I'm not going to be actually put out if I get the chain hit for Sabata. So I will do it, but it would still be pretty like cosmically insulting, you know, after this video. Anyway, it's enough of me complaining about the whims of fate. I'm going to, well, first of all, use a bit of ammo, Thunderhead ammo. But honestly, you don't need to see that. So I'll see you at the next power station, I think. Alright. Let's do it. See if it's actually hit. I think it actually hit. Okay. Alright, whatever. Pulse has got stupid weak points. But yeah, I mean, rival turrets are still one of the few genuine use cases. Not that we couldn't handle that really quicker with our Thunderhead. It's just, I understand also that for the most part, gunners' secondary weapons are meant to be sidearms. I know that. It doesn't make it less disappointing though. that an overclock can be so underwhelming. And I need to stop harping, I think, about this. Especially because we need to get to the caretaker, because as far as I can tell, there will be some actual use cases there. So let's push on, shall we? Let's push on. They are coming. I can't hit that. Oh my god. Look at them. Bad. Yes, I hit that. Fuck it. Fuck it. Oh wait, no, that's just not going to work because it's just so weak. But mortar rounds is also not out for hitting sniper turrets. A curse which I've placed upon myself. Still, I acknowledge that. Ah. Oh, none of the shredders are in range. I wanted to hit the shredders by ricocheting off of the Praetorian, but can't always have what we want. Suppose.
I was born ready. Not so accurate now, are ya?
Well, thank goodness. Now, I'm open, by the way, to the fact that there probably is... Using this with explosive rounds is probably one of the moves as well. In fact, maybe this build I'm using right now is superseded by that. That's probably true, in fact. But I still stand by the fact that it's not going to be worth using over magic bullets. Whereas magic bullets should not be used with blow through or weak point bonus. Where I can see chain hit getting something out of both of those upgrades. That's the main difference. It's not that chain hit couldn't possibly be better with explosive rounds. And I know that makes this sound a little bit unfair. But in my opinion, it's not unfair when I consider the fact that I am extremely confident that I'm right, that magic bullets just completely outdoes whatever chain hit can do with explosive rounds. But that chain hit can get benefit from the other two upgrades where magic bullets can't. It doesn't mean that they aren't inferior to explosive rounds, even as far as chain hit is concerned. But all in all, I think my logic is sound, and I also don't care about chain hit enough to be charitable with it either. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to make it bad. But I'm not willing. I don't care to bend to its whim. It's not impressive enough for me to really, accept its limitations. Some overclocks are. Like volatile bullet specifically is an overclock where its limitations are justified. It's strong enough that you don't mind being pushed around by how it forces you to build your loadout. And I actually find those overclocks interesting from time to time. I don't find them interesting when they're not interesting or powerful, which is chain hit. And I'm once again just going off on this poor little overclock. But that's because it's bad. But I am going to try and do something with these threaders. I just can't hit the weak points from the front. It's embarrassing. Sorry. Another thing where I know that mouse and keyboard players might be having an easier time than me with this kind of thing. And that's not okay. I hate you all. Roger. Roger, roger. Amazing. Right, well, I'm going to set this hacking pod up and hopefully use up a bunch of grenade and Thunderhead ammo in the meantime. Except when a patrol bot shows up. Although it's anything for us to ricochet into, so... Alright. Let's get on. Oh. Exploder gang. And the spreader gang.
Connection established. Activate the hacking drone when you're ready.
Oh yeah. Mortar rounds stays winning.
Vaccine, let's
It's the real star of the show, let's be honest.
weapon ready.
Hack begun.
Why do I feel like I have the energy of an English Josh Horowitz?
Start the hacking.
And I don't like that. I hope that's not true. I feel like it's true, but I hope it's not.
We need some pest control on the hacking drone.
No flare ready.
The drone can't hack as long as there's bugs beating it up. Do something.
Vaccine buggered off inside his shell. Back online.
Hack commencing. The hacking drone is under attack. Keep it safe so it can work.
Right, I'm not detecting any chain hits occurring here. I don't know how there was nothing. There was things. Maybe some of them did chain actually, and I didn't notice. Either way, I guess that was roughly 2 clips to kill with an oppressor, which honestly, that's such. Well, it's not great. It's not great when you consider we only have
Trainers off it now.
8 clips in total at max ammo.
Get out of hiding. Get back to smashing that.
Over, over, over.
Drone resuming hack.
Ah!
I was born ready. Killer be killed.
There's my
Some pest control on the
world class accuracy in play. Better off just using the Thunderhead. Crazy.
That's it for the power station. We're almost in, team. Get back to the vault and disable the force field. They'll just be running on emergency power now.
Alright, well, that went fine, I guess. Thunderhead is still leading here, but, I mean, got a couple licks in with Bulldog. I do mean a couple, it's like 2 things that would, maybe even just the oppressor, to be honest. Which I guess, the thing about the oppressor is, it's not like it doesn't work, because it's like a high HP enemy. You can just kind of keep firing into, and therefore it kind of acts as a source to keep proccing chain hits, but that's not useful, you know? Not when you can have a secondary that's just going to kill the oppressor quickly and efficiently, then you have a primary that can just mop up all the trash around it quickly anyway. Instead, we've got a secondary that we're relying on to do basically no damage to the thing itself, while like taking at least 2 ricochets, maybe more, to kill a single grunt. And you know, it's just... And that's like at least 4 shots, you know, because it's a 75% chance. That's going to be roughly 4 shots every time. Can you honestly tell me that that's worth using? You can't. Not honestly. Anyway, I'm going to go find those, the bonus patrol bots, I guess, and just kill them. I mean, I'm going to try and use chain hit against them, ideally. Because frankly, if it works, it's probably going to be the best showcase this Overclock gets. And obviously there is the aspect of things like shredders and tiny enemies will obviously are gonna die in 1 chain hit, but that's like 1 out of I guess it'd be 52 bullets maximum. It's the very maximum, but that would still do it. But that's not that many tiny enemies, you know. Well, so they're just not going to be near each other, are they? But chain hits don't even like do anything. Oh, yeah. But every other enemy instead. Oh. What the fuck? Get out of there. I'm not in the mood to go down here. Alright, I'm going to prepare for this fight. See you soon. I came across another oppressor. Let's see if I can achieve anything value here. Okay, I don't know why, but every hit against that oppressor seemed to chain. That was kind of nice. And it did kill a couple things, and I ended up dying. So that's something to, that's something to think about. This only happened though because it took me so long to backtrack to find one of the early supply pods because I'm just so autistic about this stuff. I don't even mind using that word. I need to not use any of the supply pods that I have for the caretaker fight, even though I won't use even close to half of them. If I'm going to use any supply pods before the fight, it has to be from earlier in the mission, and it's really annoying actually that I'm just compelled to do these things in this particular way. What now? That's fine. Anyway, we need to get on with this because this mission's overtaking the video, and that's not surprising. It's industrial sabotage. They're stupid and long. Ghost Ship are literally wrong for thinking that a single hacking station version would be a bad idea. They're just wrong. I'm so okay with sometimes saying that they are objectively wrong on a stance, only because they're right about so much. So much else that they are correct about, and just have the right of. They're just right about, just in the right side of things. This is not one of them. Anyway, I don't know how I'm gonna handle this. I'm gonna probably shoot the vents a little bit first with the Bulldog because I just want to see how it does. But I know that it's not going to ricochet off the vents, so the vents are mainly going to be a thunder. In fact, okay, I'll shoot the vents once just to see how much damage it deals. But I want to know really how the appendages work, especially after the wiki called them fake weak points. Okay. Obviously, it's hard to tell because I can't really tell if there are actually any enemies in range for it to ricochet off of. Ideally, it would ricochet into the vents, but it's not doing that, so it may be that fake weak point thing has some weight. At least we know the Caretaker's Eye is not a fake weak point. Also, this is actually slightly better than I thought it would be. I mean, I knew this would be good against the vents, but I don't think I've ever used Mortar rounds in Industrial Sabotage. Okay. Alright, and now we should be able to use this freely. Oh, I think I did see it rock a chain here. Yep, okay, it's working. Okay, good. Well, I need to be careful here. I've got no intention of dying, so... Okay. Okay. That wasn't terrible. Wasn't terrible. Fuck it. Okay, it's the reason why they give you so much nitro in Industrial Sabotage is so you can resupply spam. So I don't feel bad about that. Right. Ow! I think we might have found one of the other few use cases for chain hit though. It's the Caretaker's Eye. Specifically the eye, no other part of it though. and it's only because it can potentially ricochet into nearby appendages. But even then, they're not always actually close enough for that to happen. So... Okay.
I'm taking some of the ammo.
Please don't spawn turrets. No! I haven't said anything really, should I?
Frickin' turrets are coming out the care destroying the vent. Lead burster.
I mean, imagine if it could ricochet between sniper turrets. How good that would be. Okay, I can see why accuracy might be preferable to neurotoxin, which can't affect these enemies. Which can't.
I need to deposit in the new.
Woo! Chain hit finished with the caretaker, or rather, well, the Bulldog did.
That is that. Now let's get the data.
Ick. Alright, well, we did it. And that's about it for this build, I suppose.
Grabbing ammo.
Not particularly impressive, let's be honest. There are some noticeable use cases. Enemies with sort of big, juicy weak points when they're surrounded by other sort of weaker enemies.
These are racks secured, and the data vault
And the caretaker's eye.
arrival
So,
nothing from here.
yeah.
Job well done, team. Press the button on the mule to call.
I think the next build is probably better. I just wanted to actually use something that basically is base Bulldog and just takes that a little bit further through taking the weak point damage, but still, you know, mainly thinking about like hitting multiple weaker enemies at the same time and hopefully killing them. Obviously, the result of that is something that's just pretty unremarkable and frankly not worth using.
5 minutes.
So, which is why, I mean, look, this is probably going to end up being a discouragement, you know, a not recommended by the end of this. I can see that happening instantly. You've got no reason to recommend this Overclock unless it's the only thing you have. Obviously, playstyle wise, the only one that I can recommend chain hit over is actually volatile bullets, and that sounds insane, I know, but that's only because first of all, not everyone might want to use specific stuff you need to use to make volatile bullets work. You might not even want to use the minigun or the hurricane at all. In that case, chain hit is the only one that is like wait, if those happen to be the only two overclocks you have, I can see why you might want to use chain hit. In every other scenario, what chain hit is doing specifically, take magic bullets. What chain hit isn't doing specifically, which is just basically base Bulldog, at least take homebrew powder. If not, well, at least take 6-shooter. If not elephant rounds or homebrew powder, you'll do much better with those than with this. It's much better to actually have some interesting breakpoints and the actual ability to deal with heavy high HP single targets effectively than not have that, and also only be able to ricochet into enemies but not really kill them at all. You know, I mean, you take your pick, but I feel like it's not a hard choice.
Make it snappy, team. The drop pod won't hang around forever.
Anyway, so that's that build. Obviously, I'm going to try and make the next one a bit shorter. Hopefully something quick, but with a good warning is what I'm looking out for, I reckon. So I'm going to basically just handle that. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been hit with the perfect quarry. A point extraction with elite threat. Okay, so let's talk about the second build that I conceived for this godforsaken showcase. This is the one that uses a blow through. So our goal here is to hit as many enemies as possible, and so we need to talk about some tech. And I might actually have to bring up a lazy maybe video to explain this, and that's fine. I'm going to do my best first, but there's something that I'm not quite sure about in terms of how it works. So, this relies on blow through and just trying to hit as many enemies as possible, kind of for neurotoxin. Also, though, when you're going up against grunts and you actually hit the weak point, there's a good chance that you're going to hit most of the weak points of the other grunts as well, and that can work quite well. In general, this build actually feels pretty okay against sort of groups of smaller enemies. And the blow through definitely aids with that, especially because it's a penetration factor of 3, meaning it can hit 3 more enemies after piercing the first one. And my understanding of how this works with chain hit is that it essentially creates 2 bullets, I believe, not 4. I don't think it creates 4 bullets. Basically, and this is actually an interesting bit of tech about how blow through works in general. Because basically what happens when you're using chain hit and the bullet hits an enemy's weak point, it's actually the main bullet that travels, that chains basically, or ricochets off. And then it creates a new bullet, an invisible bullet, that is the blow through round, basically. And so you essentially end up having 2 bullets. One of them will fly off and hit an enemy in the ricochet, and the other one will continue to pierce up to 3 more enemies. And that's why this is actually an interesting thing to use, because it's something that really only chain hit has. It's something that the Sabata should now also have with its own chain hit that it wouldn't have used. It wouldn't have done before season 4, when it got its blow through upgrade. And we are pairing this with a Hurricane, with another new Overclock, newish. It's actually over a year old, but it's still new. It was added after Rocket Barrage. Rocket Barrage is a really fun sort of multi-purpose Overclock. It can be used in pretty much every situation effectively, and it was just an easy choice basically. It also does actually cover some of the weaknesses that Mortar rounds has, like range and accuracy. It's something that Rocket Barrage is actually okay on. So I'm very happy to use it, and it feels good against hordes and single targets. I would say it kind of inverts Mortar rounds a little bit, where I'd say it's slightly better at single target, but worse against crowds, where it's the opposite for Mortar rounds, which is amazing against crowds, but not as good against single target. But they're still both good at both things. And our Bulldog is kind of just this weird middle ground, where it's kind of going to be a bit of a HVT and trash clearing weapon. Anything stronger than a Swarmer, but weaker than the Praetorian, is our Bulldog's targets, basically. Hurricane, however, everything's its target. Literally everything. Anyway, I'm going to go and check on Lazy Maybe. Hopefully, literally, because I don't know where he's at. Or, I mean, I love his videos, so I'd love a new video, Lazy Maybe. But I'm going to go check the Bulldog video to make sure I've got this stuff right. If I haven't, maybe we'll actually just watch some. Watch some Lazy Maybe. Alright, let's watch some funny videos.
Whenever you shoot a weak point with chain hit, you've got a 75% chance of a ricochet. This is only rolled once per shot. Either the shot will ricochet on the first weak point it hits, or it won't ricochet on anything. As a result, when you shoot multiple targets with blow-through, you will never see a shot ricochet off any targets in the bullet's original path besides the first one it collides with.
Basically, I was right. Long and short of it. So let's dive into this mission. Shall we? I guess I should take the pots of gold. Kind of wouldn't be very dwarven of me to not take it. But yeah, I mean, the footage beforehand was actually a pretty good showcase of how chain hit can be used for explosive rounds. And that definitely makes the first mission seem a bit insipid. Because explosive rounds is definitely better than probably both of these upgrades. But I still stand by what I said when it comes to magic bullets. There's no point in using chain hit if you've got magic bullets, basically. So I'm not going to bother using the one upgrade that sort of puts them in the same category. I'd rather cover the, I'd rather cover what's not their common ground than what is their common ground. Anyway, this should be pretty full on, given that it's a point extraction, so can't imagine any cuts will be required. Dude. They seriously give these fucking Macteras some crack! Oh, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what it is about Mactera weak points being so hard to hit, though. Mactera spawns in, like, weirdly specific scenarios. Alright, fuck it. We're not doing that. Restart. Alright, we're back. Hopefully this time it doesn't go as terribly. I actually checked to see if I had the accuracy mod on or not. And I actually do. Which is good, but apparently I'm not good with it. Oh, I guess there's nothing actually with this Praetorian, so it's best to just shoot it. Especially because elite enemies are weirdly frail. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this. Elite enemies, they're not, like, that tanky. It's really weird. It's just something I've observed just over time. Elite enemies kind of just don't take shots. They don't take hits very well. Oh, I like the sound, actually, that chain hit me. I only just noticed that. I like how the Minehead is fighting a Spitballer. You know what? I actually am starting to dread getting chain hit for the Spartan. Okay, now. Oh, a breeder. Look at that. Ah. Okay. Actually, I'm just going to target that for Bosco. I can't bother to deal with it. I need to make sure I have... Well, chances are I'm probably only going to need one resupply. So, Nitrate is a semi-objective. Top of that, I just need to get this done. What is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not. Alright, this actually should be good. Now, the annoying thing about this is actually, it would be better if we were actually level with the enemy's heads. And I understand why we're not, because they're bogues. But it would be useful. Yes. It makes blow through seem kind of trivial against grunts when you can't really line it up with them. Did Bosco kill the breeder? I guess the Minehead probably has been shooting it as well. Bosco can get... Actually, mind that. Fuck. Contact. Star Trek First Contact. No, why didn't you get stunned? Wiggly bitch. Not the ideal outcome. Oh, Victorian died. Maybe it was. I see NATO site hatchlings. Ooh. Okay. I might have to basically swear off making fossils a priority. Just for the sake of the mission, to be honest. I probably need to focus on actually getting this done. But yeah, I guess what is to glean from this is that it's not particularly good either. I mean, it's not like we kill the grunts in one shot unless they actually hit the weak point. So these don't count as weak points, which sucks. They absolutely should. I mean, it's one of those things. It'd be perfect for it to ricochet against. It's just these are the kind of oversights that are just DLG's worst aspect. Basically, there's quite a few of these kind of things. Like, it's hard to tell if it's an oversight or it's like a genuine balance like concern. But so often, when things are held back for balancing reasons, they're the only examples of things that are anti-fun in the game. Where so much of Deep Rock is normally just all for fun. Sometimes the balancing they put in place, it's like, oh, let's make it so the Caretaker can't be affected by any status effects. It's like, that's really not fun at all. Easily my biggest gripes of the game are those kind of things. Kind of things that I hope are either not present or tweaked to actually feel justified in Rogue Core. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, happy December, everyone. Everyone's getting in the Christmas spirit. I certainly am. Not yet. In the next videos, I'll have to have my Christmas hat on. Dude! You try not sucking. I've actually used more ammo than I thought it would, to be honest. That's fine. Got a resupply. Although I don't know where I'm going to find the rest of the quartz, apart from that one there. But that's so easy to get. I'm not even thinking about it at the moment. Won't mind getting round to the Rocket Barrage episode. I'm also looking forward to pretty much every secondary apart from the Bulldog and Sabata, to be honest. Oh, maybe the Burt too. The Burt's not great. But like PGL, Child Diffractor, Breach Cutter, coil gun, wave cooker, bolt shock, boomstick. All these weapons have tons of stuff that I'm excited to be forced to use. You know, why boomstick I find especially tantalizing now. You know, nowadays, definitely had a redemption arc in my eyes. And also, I can definitely get the fossils done. Shut up. Shut up, mission control. Jesus Christ. Thank God for stalagmites. Nope, stalactites, sorry. A detonator? I hardly know her. Don't. Oh my God! Not how I expected that to go. Oh, why couldn't it have been an elite detonator? Actually, I would have loved an elite detonator. Love those guys. They're my favourite guys, I think. Oh, look at that. Guess we might as well use it. Oh no! Come on, that thing's gonna be dead in a moment. There we go. Well done, everyone. We can go home now. Although not quite. There's more to do. Shit. Don't drop it down there. Alright, I'm gonna get that lost fossil. I can't not. It's one left. There it is. Come to daddy. I don't want to use that phrase ever again. Why did I say that? Oh! Okay, got a bit of spin on that throw. Great. Ah, why's my head hurt? Good to see the chain hit video is going to be 1 hour and 10 minutes long. Exactly what I wanted. Let's get the fuck out of here. Okay, so what do we see there? Honestly, I would say the same thing we saw in the first mission. Chain hit is a technically inoffensive clean that can just act as a sidearm to your like a strong primary weapon that just has this occasional benefit. Unfortunately, I find that offensive because it just pales in comparison to what else you can do with the Bulldog, what else you can do with your secondary slot as a gunner. It's just not up to par. I'm sorry. I'm never going to find it. I'm never going to be like attracted to something that is just this like almost deliberately unimpressive, in my opinion. Like this just isn't what I want. This isn't what I want out of this. I can do so much more, even just this singular weapon. You know, everything that it offers can either be superseded or completely replaced. You know, replaced by magic bullets, superseded by every other overclock except volatile bullets because that's the only one that is like conditional. You know, it's a bit of a sad state of affairs where I can say I don't recommend chain hit. You're free to use it if it's the only overclock you have, or if you don't like the limitations placed on you by the other overclocks. I would say though, what I would at least say to that is 6-shooter. If you would prefer to use chain hit over 6-shooter, probably something wrong with you. The other ones do have limitations and playstyle changes that I can understand. I don't really get it for Homebrew Powder. I feel like Homebrew Powder is a pretty objective upgrade over base Bulldog, but 6-shooter, no. If you would rather use this than 6-shooter, then there's a problem. I don't make the rules. That's my opinion. My opinion. I'm just thinking about all of the fucking coding work that I've got to do, and I'm just not. Oh god. I'm so happy that I'm good at emotional compartmentalization. Otherwise, I would not be particularly happy. Luckily, I can just play RoboQuest, and all the dopamine comes flooding back into my brain. Or go for a run, which I'm probably going to do after this. Obviously, I would normally do that beforehand. I just realised that the drop pod's here. Where? Down. Is that going to work? Yes. Goodbye, everybody. Fuck off. Chain hit. It sucks. Anyway, now's the time of the video where I say goodbye. But once I've said goodbye, we get to find out what brilliant Sabato overclock I'm going to be covering next week. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, if you want to see more videos like this, then also feel free to click the bell. Or if you want to stay on top of everything to do with Deep Rock and Rocore, I forgot to mention that, as we do cover the news. We're pretty much the Rocore channel now. At least we kind of have to be over the next year and a half, I suppose. But anyway, time to find out what our Sabato overclock will be. How does this work? I'm sure at this point you know how it works, but basically I use a wheel of fortune to choose, and the numbers are put in. Basically, the overclocks are represented by numbers from left to right, top to bottom. So we go look at our little Sabato friend over here. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 4 is the one to avoid. I bring up our wheel over here. Look at that, lovely blue eyes. Okay, wonderful. Honestly, if I was hoping for anything, it was number 2, which is of course Homebrew Powder. So that'll be next week's Overclock. Who do I want to initialize this on? Jesus Christ, what is that? You. I'm going to initialize here. Homebrew Powder. It's coming home. So you get to see that next week. Until then, this has been Barrel Vision. I'll see you in the next life. Although, how am I going to end this? Until Deluxe, because it makes it as pathetically small as Chain Hit is in the grand scale of things.